You're watching Central Illinois' best source for news and weather. WAND News at 4 starts now.
Laying the groundwork for a new Islamic state, the latest from the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and efforts to get U.S. allies home safely. Plus, taking the next steps to fight the curve in cases of COVID-19, when health experts say you could be needing a booster shot. The Taliban government begins to lay groundwork for the Islamic Emirate state of Afghanistan today, beginning with granting amnesty for all foreign government workers. First at 4, the Biden administration continues to work to get allies safely out of the country and minimize political fallout on the home front. Alice Barr has the latest.
A race against time today in Kabul, with the U.S. military securing the airport and ramping up operations to evacuate as many as 9,000 people a day.
We'll do as much as we can for as long as we can.
This photo of hundreds crammed into a U.S. cargo jet, symbolizing the hope of those desperate to escape Taliban rule. Afghanistan's new government today holding a news conference projecting what it wants the world to see, offering amnesty and promising it won't retaliate against its citizens who helped the United States, like this former translator.
I do not believe a word the Taliban are saying.
The White House still insisting it will have all U.S. forces out by the end of this month, despite fierce criticism from both sides of the aisle that it botched the pullout.
This was a choice between dramatically ramping up forces to fight or drawing them down to end our military involvement.
Critics pointing out the crisis is far from over.
We've had the Saigon moment. Now we need to do everything possible to save as many lives as possible.
U.S. military commanders are now communicating with Taliban leaders.
The Taliban have informed us that they are prepared to provide the safe passage of civilians to the airport.
The Taliban also promising the world today it will not become a launching pad for terrorists. The White House less interested in the words than the actions of a regime that's just forced its way to power. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
The Taliban today tried to cast itself as a more moderate regime than the one that ruled 20 years ago, insisting it will respect women's rights, though it's unclear how that's possible within the strict confines of Sharia law. A spokesperson for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights today called for all possible support to aid Afghans, while the Taliban has declared an amnesty across Afghanistan and pledged to be inclusive. Many Afghans remain skeptical. The UN said the Taliban is obligated to protect civilians and adhere to international humanitarian and human rights laws.
We call on the international community to extend all possible support to those who may be at imminent risk. And we call on the Taliban to demonstrate through their actions, not just their words, that the fears for the safety of so many people from so many different walks of life are addressed.
New at 4, as those flee from Afghanistan, the governor now says the state could support refugees. He says the first mission is to get all Americans and those who work with Americans home safe.
If there's an opportunity and there are refugees that come to the United States as a result of our ability to get them out, I hope that Illinois will be one place that will be able to welcome them to. You know, my own family were refugees to the United States and to the state of Illinois, were welcomed here, and so I'm somebody who believes especially that those who are working with our military, that are working on behalf of the United States, who happen to be from another country and need to find refuge somewhere, will come here to Illinois.
We're dealing with an illness that mankind has never seen before, and we're trying to figure it out as we move forward.
Cases of COVID-19 continue to rise at an alarming rate across the nation. Federal health officials and medical experts urging communities to mask up and get vaccinated. A health alert now as hospital beds continue to fill up and the fight against the highly contagious Delta variant continues to trudge on. Experts are moving one step closer to recommending booster shots, expected to advise that most people should get them 8 months after their second doses. The guidance would only apply to the 2-shot Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, and the guidance could go into effect as early as mid-September.
There's no hesitation. Why not? When so many people hesitate, why weren't you hesitating? Because I trust science.
There is no word on what the guidance will be for those who receive the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Some experts are running studies to determine if those should get an additional shot of either Pfizer or Moderna, or if Johnson & Johnson will make their own booster. According to the latest data from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association, over 121,000 new pediatric cases were reported last week. Children now represent 18% of the weekly reported cases. It's important to get kids 12 and older vaccinated as they return to the classroom. And DPS is offering their own vaccine clinic this Thursday. 3 separate walk-in clinics will be available throughout the day at MacArthur, Argento Oriana, and Eisenhower high schools. Taking a look at Central Illinois vaccination rates, Sangamon County leads the region at 51%. Champaign is just behind at 50% and Macon is at 40%. 52% of Illinoisans are fully vaccinated and 76% have received their first dose. Temperatures are heating up, and it's not just here in Central Illinois. The latest data pointing to changing climates after the break. And later, an economic boost. The extra amount of money many Americans are shelling out each month may shock you.
You're watching Central Illinois' best source for news and weather.
Now that Tropical Depression Fred has moved north, Florida residents can now assess the damage. Officials report the storm was largely a rain event and caused mostly flooding, leaving many streets impassable. Winds topped out at around 70 miles an hour, causing sporadic power outages. And out west, a problem of a different kind. California residents are keeping an eye on a new fire that is spreading quickly. The so-called Caldor fire sparked Saturday evening, according to U.S. Forest Service. So far, more than 2,200 acres have burned and there is zero containment. Officials say the challenging terrain is making the fire that much harder to fight. And the so-called Dixie Fire continues to blacken thousands of acres of parched timber and brush. The fire has consumed nearly 580,000 acres in the rugged Sierra Nevada mountains. The fire started July 14 and is now the nation's largest active fire and the second largest in state history. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. New today, July was the hottest month on record, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They say the global average temperature of 62.1 degrees beat records set in previous years. NOAA says the heat was worst on land in the northern hemisphere, which is no surprise as that's the hemisphere that has summer in July. But scientists say the records on land in the northern hemisphere weren't just broken, they were smashed. Meteorologist Casey Rigner joins us now. Casey, the summer heat has been hotter here than usual.
Yeah, and we have more 90s in the forecast, Sophia. It's kind of like you're in Miami again, right?
Developing today, Spirit Airlines says the cancellation of more than 2,800 flights over an 11-day stretch caused more than $50 million loss in revenue. Costs also soared as the budget airline paid to put some stranded passengers on flights with other airlines and covered their hotel stays. Spirit says it will reduce flights through September. T-Mobile confirms hackers breached a company database. This after personal information of some customers was found on sale online. The company says unauthorized access occurred, but it hasn't determined what personal data was involved. Retail sales dropped more than expected in July. The Commerce Department reports shoppers cut back their purchases last month. Retail sales for the month fell more than 1%, worse than the Dow Jones estimate of a 0.3% decline. Despite that, Americans are spending more this year. Between dining out and travel, Americans are spending an average of $765 more a month compared to 2020. Young adults are spending the most, averaging $1,000 more a month. Nearly 48% of Americans said they saved less than $500 in the last 3 months. The amount of savings consumers had last year hit a historic 33%, but has since dropped to only about 9%. If you're going back to the office soon, you may want to listen up. It may be harder than you think to get back into the swing of small talk, but speech trainers say if you avoid a few basic rules, the adjustment will be easy. The first, assuming that nobody wants to talk to you. Remember to follow social cues. Don't interrupt or intrude on conversations. Start slow with simple greetings. Leave the controversial topics at home. And finally, don't just talk about yourself. It's Agricultural Day at the State Fair, a day dedicated to celebrating the purpose of the fair, agriculture. Governor Pritzker was there highlighting the efforts of farmers through the pandemic, keeping the tradition of Illinois alive.
I want to thank you to the 358 families that we're recognizing today for the growth that you've sparked in our economy, in our communities, in our state, and thank all the farming families all across our state for the work that they do every single day. Your work sets an example for all Illinoisans.
An auction was also held to auction off the Grand Champion Junior livestock items in categories such as barrows, steer, poultry, and rabbits. I'll be right back with another check of your forecast. With kids going back to school and parents shopping for supplies, teachers in classrooms are also needing to be stocked. Same-day delivery service Shipt surveyed 1,000 teachers to find out what students really need. More than half said pencils will be the #1 item to restock. Hand sanitizers and tissues were also high priority on the list for the school year. Shipt suggests if you're out, try to pick up some of these extra items or donate them to a classroom. Now, hand sanitizer, that's not a surprise, but what is that drop in temperatures tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty nice. It's humid though. When it's a little bit more humid, it doesn't always feel as cold overnight, or as cooler I should say. And I didn't get to show the 7-day forecast or my full weather, so we'll leave it up on the screen here a little bit longer. We'll be in the middle 80s, 86 for your Wednesday and Thursday. Those afternoon and evening radar sweeps will be very similar to what we saw during my full forecast. A few stray showers, perhaps even a really quick passing thunderstorm. Friday into Saturday, I think will probably be a better chance to pick up some more notable rain. Still not much there, but next Monday and Tuesday, the heat is back on, Sophia. High 80s to low 90s again.
Hopefully it'll be nice for a pool day of some sort. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for tuning in to WND News at 4. We'll see you again shortly at 5.